Yeah, Meredith Mulcair says she's taught for more than a decade. A year of that was in Dorchester County, but she says she was working her dream job. But these last few weeks dealing with COVID-19 made her sense of safety at that job go away.
Yeah, the feeling it just completely changed from like week one, teacher work week, all the way, to just the second week with the kids, like doing a 180.
Meredith Mulcair has been a music teacher in Dorchester County. COVID was something she dealt with in 2020, but she says this year felt different.
The first weekend after the first week of school, I found out one of my classes that I had been teaching with that week had been completely quarantined. Like the whole class was out. And then one of the fifth grade group I was with, there was like 7 or 8 kids missing by like the end of the week.
Kids missing to COVID quarantine, something that hit more than 25% of the school district's population at one point. Mulcair says that's something she never saw a year ago when more safety precautions were in place. Another thing she says she feels less safe about is her pregnancy.
I was pregnant last year in the spring as well. So I knew, from, pretty much the whole spring that I knew I was pregnant. I felt comfortable. This fall, I did not. And so that did play a huge role in me deciding to resign. And I think as quickly as I did, because I had the vaccine. I've been vaccinated. I've had COVID, but there's just no guarantees.
No guarantee that her 7-month pregnancy would be protected from the virus, but there is one thing she says may have kept her in the job.
I think if they would have had masks and the same thing as last year, I would still be teaching there.
Mulcair says the mask is something she understands can't be enforced due to state law, but it's something she believes would help. The DD2 school board has asked the General Assembly to once again allow them to have that power, but until then, Mulcair says other teachers may be stuck in a tough position.
I know there's other teachers who are in other situations with people people they're taking care of or their own body. I feel lucky that I'm able to stay home right now, where I know there's other teachers that are very concerned and are not able to leave.
Covering a story about excess flooding in Summerville near Waring Street, but now we've learned about other areas in Summerville that have a similar problem, but not getting as much attention. ABC News 4's Sean Mahoney, working for you tonight, tells us what those residents have had to deal with.
When you live in the low country, you expect a little bit of flooding, but not to the extent that these Summerville residents have been experiencing. Currents flooding down from Main Street, flooding backyards, damaging homes, and causing big headaches.
If I didn't have to worry about every time it rained hard, I'd be happy.
It's something neighbors who live on South Main Street have become accustomed to. Recent rainfall causing major flooding. The director of public works for Summerville told me this was bound to happen.
We get these really high intensity rainfall events in short periods of time that really overburden the existing drainage system that we have all around town. And unfortunately, the system isn't large enough to handle the volume of water.
One neighbor says when it rains, it might be faster to get around by boat.
The current. If you had a canoe, you could go from second to third and lickety-split.
Water flows down from Main Street, causing pools of water like this in backyards.
I'm out here in the rain with a pitchfork trying to move pine straw to get the water to go somewhere.
The water has damaged property.
So I've had to have boards replaced on the bottom of my shed.
The back of my carport's rotted out. I have tools in my shed that have been flooded out.
Lauder says she reached out to town officials months ago but got no response.
We don't want to see any of our neighbors get damaged or just have the suffering that you have from just feeling despair that no one's listening.
But Cornett says they are working on a solution.
The town is in process of several drainage projects in different stages of development.
However, he said it will take time, but what Lauder really wants is
just acknowledgement. I mean, and not wait 60 days to respond to something.
Now, Lauder did say that Cornett has reached out to her in the past couple days regarding the flooding issues, and they hope to work on a solution in the near future.
Well, did you know 5 of those 10 most congested interstate segments in South Carolina are in the Charleston area? Now, TRIP, a transportation-focused nonprofit based in D.C., released that report. It outlines how much money our roads are costing you. Our Charleston Clark working for you to break down those numbers and joins us tonight. Charleston?
That's right, Dean. We heard from Members of TRIP today as they talked about bridge and road conditions and funding locally and statewide. The amount of money South Carolina roads are costing you is shocking. South Carolinians are hitting the roads again.
Travel is back in South Carolina, and we anticipate seeing traffic congestion levels returning to pre-pandemic levels, or actually exceeding them.
But the state still faces challenges in addressing the needs of its transportation system.
Our biggest challenges are driven by our biggest opportunity, which is growth. And while South Carolina does a tremendous job of attracting people and businesses to our state, we're not financially prepared to deal with the increasing demands that is associated with this growth.
According to the TRIP report, drivers are wasting $2.1 billion a year in lost time and fuel due to congestion. And many of those drivers are in the Charleston area.
In the Charleston area, the report finds that the average motorist is losing an additional $1,165 annually due to traffic congestion as a result of spending 56 hours annually stuck in traffic and wasting 22 gallons of fuel annually.
Rocky Moretti is the Director of Policy and Research at TRIP. He says local drivers are also dealing with other road hazards.
The TRIP report finds that in the Charleston area, 16% of major roads are in poor condition and 28% are in mediocre condition.
Since 2018, South Carolina DOT officials say they've started about 4,000 miles of paving projects statewide. Work crews have also begun repairs on 211 of the 465 bridges that were rated poorly. Now I want you to take a look at this DOT map. It actually shows all the current projects happening within our region, from emergency repairs to widening. It's everywhere you look. South Carolina DOT has a 10-year plan in place to improve the state's transportation system. According to DOT officials, state and federal lawmakers are considering new one-time funding for roads. They believe it would greatly improve road conditions as rapid growth continues across the state.